This is Books and Tickets NI. We are delighted to be joined once again. It's our second sort of nature now in Zoom, but I think it's been a wee while since we've done a Zoom, Mick. But delighted obviously to
Yep.
have you back on. 2 weeks away from fight night. It's sort of been I guess, a process over the last couple of weeks. You've known this has been happening in advance, but like I'm
Yeah.
sure you're buzzing. You just can't wait to go again in 2 weeks' time in Brighton.
I mean, it's been an awful long time since the last time I was in the ring. So, you know, when I did kind of start back training, start back sparring, at the start, I was out of the ring for basically a full year in terms of even sparring. Over a full year when I started sparring. And I was like, I forgot how to box. The first while it was crazy, but things have started to fall into place over the last load of weeks, and now I'm just excited about getting in there and showing levels of what I can do and what I still believe I can achieve.
I know that you'd said to me and stuff previously, it's the longest time you've been out of the ring, about 20 years. Like for you in a way, like this has been able to reset and recharge yourself, obviously more than a
Yeah.
year out in the ring. Like you've probably done it in your terms. Like I know when you were over in America, it was a shorter camp. You've had a lot
Hmm.
longer time now to prepare with Grant. So like you
Yeah.
should probably bonded very well now as well. So you've made the right
100%.
call there.
100%. I done the right thing by going over end of September, start of October, and just getting a relationship, working together, knowing likes, dislikes, things that he says, hearing him in the corner, getting used to that voice. And it's very good. I think he's a fantastic coach, a fantastic man in terms of his morals and how he does things. He's top notch, and in the ring and when you're sparring, the little things he says are very good. He's not trying to change me as a fighter. We're tweaking little mistakes which I know I make, and it's great. I'm in a good place. The Grant was definitely the right choice for me, and the gym is a buzzing gym, a thriving gym, and I like that. I like the competitiveness in the gym when you're working against the boys and the other ones are trying to outdo you and things. So that's something I really enjoy, and probably something that was missing in my last camp. I was basically doing a lot of it myself with Pedro, obviously with the coach, but you know, training just me and him the whole time. I've always been in like a team setup, so from the amateur days right through my pro career. So it's very good. It's good to be back in that kind of place.
Like the gym is thriving. Like, is it weird for you in a way? I guess you've been obviously a big supporter of Katie. Obviously now with Chantel in camp and sort of Dalton obviously being a bit the potential opponent for Pierce in the future. Like it's
Yeah,
sort of weird for you in some ways, but like I guess when you pick your gym, you pick the right people to be around. And
yeah.
Chantel's been a world champion. Dalton's on the verge of being a world champion. You need to be around these ones to see what they're doing well, so that you can maybe, even though you're the more experienced, you can gain a wee bit from them.
100%. Listen, it's all about that competitive nature, and these guys are. I'm the oldest guy there, like really training. It's good to have young guns trying to push you, trying to take things from you in terms of times and this and that, and I enjoy it. And yes, listen, they've got Pierce, they've got my mate Harlem who's fighting murder mate Tyrone. It's like, come on, it's very hard, but I had to separate that from myself. You know what I mean? That's it's nothing to do with me if they ever fight. And you know if they were to fight ever, I spoke to Dalton and said like I probably wouldn't be training the same times and stuff, just because I wouldn't want him to think I'm saying things and them to think I'm saying things to him. And that's just how I am, and he respected that. He said, "No, I like that. That's a man thing to say. It's 100%. That's the way you gotta be." And um, yeah, listen, Katie and Chantel and stuff. I've known Chantel years, so it's nothing. She knows Katie Taylor is like one of my favorite fighters ever growing up and stuff, and like the how close I was to Katie throughout the amateur game and stuff. Um, if they ever fought again, I would still be training in the gym at the same time because I don't have that relationship with Katie now where I'm gonna go back and say things. It's nothing to do with me that fight. That like yes, I'm a fan of Katie and I want the Katie to win, but boxing's boxing. You know what I mean?
You want a big fight. At the end of the day, regardless what you might say back, the fight could go the total opposite anyway. So it wouldn't really matter if you were sort of giving information back somewhere because they go, oh well, they're weak to this side, and then it changes in the fight.
Yeah,
The boxing game's mysterious in different ways. Um,
yeah,
the link up with Wasserman, it's sort of, I guess towards the end of last year, it was sort of looking like you were signing a pro box. Obviously, they had announced it. There's sort of the Wasserman thing came about then. Was that more of a, they give you a better deal, better opportunity? I guess when you see the numbers, Channel 5 do as well. It's a perfect sort of fit for you.
you know what? The Pro Box thing they announced me before I'd even seen any contracts or anything, and I didn't like that. If I'm going to be honest, I thought that was a bit of a, a sly move in a sense. I like the guys there. They're all okay. They're all sound. But I thought that with me being UK based, Europe based, most of my fight's going to be here. I know Pro Box are trying to get in here, but they're not established here. Um, and the shows will be much smaller. So I was like, no, I'd rather just go somewhere which is kind of more established. You got terrestrial TV there. I know Kala and Nissa a long time, and they started to speak to them in December, and we kind of came up with a plan and a deal, and I was happy and went over everything with me and my lawyer, and we got things ironed out, and it was good, so I'm happy.
Like obviously, I was speaking to Tyrone a colleague school. He was obviously letting me know obviously the figures that sort of Harlem was doing in fights. Like Wasserman shows are pretty much going to be the last on terrestrial TV because everybody else is now merged with his own, so you need a subscription. So nearly in some ways, sort of Channel 5's the last survivor of boxing for. I guess everybody has to pay a TV license, everything else, but other than having to pay a monthly subscription, Channel 5 is the sort of place to be now for free boxing.
Yeah. How much do you pay a TV license? That'd be a good thing to find out. How much people actually pay a TV license?
How many of them actually pay it?
No, I know it's like I'd say a lot of people don't. But no, yeah, listen, it's great. They're doing over 1 million views per fight, 500,000 views. And I say with me being on this card, with the views Harlem is doing, the views will go through the roof again. So I definitely think it could be one of the most watched fights ever on on Channel 5, sorry. So yeah, it'll be good. I'm just moving back into things, trying to build my route back and plan out the future of how things will move. And it's all interesting, so I'm interested myself.
You've sort of been everywhere, sort of in terms of broadcast. Obviously, ESPN, DAZN, TNT Sports. You've been everywhere, sort of in terms of
Yeah.
the broadcast spectrum. You've always been a big name. You're always going to bring in the numbers. It wouldn't have mattered probably who you just sort of went with. Everybody would have sort of followed. Like you were the leader of the crowd. That everybody goes, Mick Conlan's fighting here. It wouldn't matter what else is on. Everybody stops what they're doing and tunes in the Mick.
100%. It's like the only one I was never on was Sky, but no, that's the only one. The rest have all been on, so I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm in a good place, mate. I'm with Wasserman, and it's a good setup, and how they do things. I think it's the right choice at this stage of my career.
Obviously, your opponent in 2 weeks' time, Acid, Acid, Acid Khan. I don't know if I pronounced that right.
Yeah,
Um, what do you know of your opponent? Obviously, he's a former opponent of Kanzu.
yeah.
Um, what do you know of obviously your opponent's at 8 rounds at Super Feather? Is that correct?
It's basically feather. It's 1, 1, 2, 8 in between feather, super feather, because it's not championship. There's no point. There's don't need to be making championship weight. Although I could make it because I'm walking around very late, so I'm happy. Yeah, he's a game opponent. He's willing to take two to land one, so um, he opens up a lot and probably will leave a lot of gaps for me to capitalize on. But you know, I'm just going back and the find out where I'm at. I know where I'm at from what I've been doing in the gym, and I know what I have left, so I'm happy. It's good.
Ideally for you, obviously, probably you want rounds probably more than anything, or because when you look at it, obviously over the last, when was the last time you sort of went nearly any round sort of distance in a fight? The last few years, so rounds are probably crucial to you. But at the same stage, you get in there and land the first punch, it could be all over.
Yeah, if that happened to happen, but I'm not going hunting for it. Something when you try to hurt somebody, it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? It takes away from what you're actually doing. So I'm just going in there and box how I box, use my skill set, use my boxing brain, get through the fight. If it goes to points, it goes to points. If I get him out of there, I get him out of there. And that's just the way it's gotta be. And I gotta be smart, do the right things and plan out the right path.
And obviously for you, obviously moving forward, obviously the plan is featherweight. Like, there's sort of been a bit of a change sort of in the featherweight division sort of recently. Obviously, you've Nick Ball there is probably one of the most established sort of champions. You've Espinoza, Fulton, and angelo have all became champions in the last year. I guess that shows the times are changing sort of in the sport that, champions move on, champions get beaten. But obviously it's good for you in a way because these other ones are going to look to you as the experienced guy in the division. Might be easier for you to get a fight with one of these because they'll go, I've wanted to fight Mick.
Mm, possibly, possibly. Listen, I'm not here to call out anybody. That's what I made sure I said before when I was coming back was that, if I am coming back, anybody asks me, who do you want? What champion do you like or all this here? They're all good fighters. It doesn't really matter. Whoever it is, when I come to that stage, will be the one it will be. And, yeah, it changes. Boxing changes all the time and the landscape changes all the time. Nowadays, it seems like there's very few who hang around too long in divisions, and lads seem to be moving through divisions. So, yeah, like if you look at Angelo and Stephen Fulton, they both moved up from super bantamweight. So, it's a good thing. Everything is just changing all the time. So, yeah, it's interesting. I'll see where I'm at by the end of the year. Hopefully, I'm in line for someone or one of them, and that'll be good.
Your plan, I think, if I'm correct, is to fight four times in 2025. So you want a good bit of
Oh well,
activity.
from March to March, so it could be 24 and 2025. It could go now, May, September, and December, or it will be from now, May, September, March.
I guess it's obviously how the fights go and things like that. Obviously, if you breeze through them, sort of, and you're going, well, get me one
Yeah,
next week again, you could sort of be ready to go again.
yeah, definitely.
Is it? I guess in some ways it's sort of fitting it. Your co-main event. They obviously two good mates, and obviously Harlem and Tyrone. I'm not going to ask you your opinion on the fight because you're you're like me when it comes to Lewis and Paddy next week, where I'm on the
Yeah.
fence, where I don't know. But like it's good for you in a way that you're hoping to give Tyrone and Harlem some more exposure in a really good intriguing fight.
To be honest, I'm not even thinking about anything like that. I'm just looking forward to getting back myself. But in terms of that fight, it's hard for me because they're two friends. I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't like the fight because they are both my friends. And when they're fighting, I'll probably watch them through my fingers. So, yeah, it's shit.
It is. It's one of them. I guess as long as you want a good fight and you want them to both turn up sort of on the night
Yeah,
and
I'd
make.
love both of them to win. I would love both of them to win. You know what I mean? I wish there was no loser, but someone's going to lose, and you know Tyrone's on the comeback trail and looking forward to looking towards trying to get a world title. Harlem's even towards the top. Like he's always has been. Harlem's got momentum in terms of winning, but he's probably had a bit of a layoff now, and you know Tyrone's come back off a good win. It's a really intriguing fight. Momentum's definitely with Harlem, but Tyrone is someone you can never write off, no matter who he fights.
One thing I just forgot there. Obviously, this is going to be your 22nd professional fight. You've never fought in your professional career. You've never fought a fighter with a negative record yet.
Never.
It's very unheard of, sort of in boxing. Like particularly you having a layoff. If you'd come back against like a journeyman level, people would, I guess, they would probably slate it in some ways. But this is your 22nd pro fight, and every opponent you've had from your debut has been positive records.
Yeah. The worst records I fought was even records. I think the first two were both probably 4-4, I think.
Yeah,
And then after that, everybody was had a winning record.
I guess it probably, some people might go, well, it's because of the amateur career you have, but at the same time, you were sort of planning it in the right way. Obviously, different fighters in different stages. Like, I remember early on you were having problems getting a fighter to come and they actually fight you. I think
Yeah.
was it Australia or something like that. He wouldn't actually come to fight.
Australia, he wouldn't come. This third one, he wouldn't come. The second one, he wouldn't come forward. It was like it was that's why as well. It was hard. You got very people are who probably want to win, but they're just negative and they don't want to get hit.
Yeah, I guess it's they won't want to be the one that get stopped by Mick Conlan. Obviously, they wanted to
Yeah.
go the distance, so that was their thing for years to come. Saying, "I want the distance with Mick Conlan." You know, that's their
Yeah.
trophy.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously next week, obviously in Belfast, I know you're probably going to miss it because
Yeah.
obviously you're preparing for your fight. But like, what a card! You know, like the amount of domestic fights. Like, I know the one that stood out for me in particular was obviously Tommy and Stephen Ward's. It's one I've won it for a couple of years, but what a card in the SSE Arena. Probably the only thing that you're sort of regretting out of it is that you're not on the card.
No, listen, I'm happy to be away for the first one back. If I'm going to be honest, I probably could be in that card if I really wanted to be on that card, but um, I would have if I wanted to go back to Matchroom and say, listen, put me on there. They would be more than happy because I can move numbers. So, yeah, listen, it probably would have been nice, but I know it's not the right time or place for me to be back in Belfast, especially in a co-main event or a undercard kind of fight. It would have been handy, and you would have just go and get the job done and get out of there. But it's a really interesting card, a really interesting fights on the card. The main event is one you go, wow, that's going to be a great fight, and that can swing both ways if you look at things in the perspectives. But for me, Crocker, um, Adam Booth has had said to me when he was over with us, he's the pound for pound the hardest puncher he's ever had on the pads. Like, he's the hardest puncher he's ever felt. And he's had David Hay, he's had Andy Lee, he's had George Groves, he's had a lot of big punching guys, and he says Crocker hits the hardest without a doubt. So that went, oof, her Paddy and Andy saying that Paddy's the hardest puncher he's had on the pads and pound for pound, and Paddy can punch. And then I've heard them say that they're not going to be moving on it. They'll stand in front of him and they'll fade him up close. And I'm going, oh, this is going to be exciting.
Is it at that stage, Mick? Is it just sort of mind games that they're trying to get inside the mind of the other person? They sort of say, try to get them to doubt things. Like I watched the face off last night, and we know that Lewis isn't a big talker, but like, is it at that stage for the coaches, particularly with Billy and Andy, were doing most of the sort of talking? Is it just to try and get in the mind of each other? Like, they're not going to give away a game plan that early.
Yes, I suppose, but to get into any of each other's minds, Crocker has a switch in him where when he goes into that ring, he just goes berserk and tries to wipe you out. And you know, Crocker's probably the only problem is he probably telegraphs a bit too much where you can bruise for him. I know Tyrone said that he probably is the hardest puncher, but I could see them coming, so I could bruise for them and prepare what was coming at me. Paddy definitely more the precise of the two. Punches well to the body, also punches hard at the head. But something in me just says Crocker gets him late.
It's definitely it's intriguing. It's one that I'm sitting on the fence for. I just want a really good fight. Whoever wins. I'm just in the boring part of it.
Yeah,
Two obviously other fights coming up that obviously that you've shared the ring with obviously one half of them. Obviously TJ Doheny aims to become a 2 week
yeah,
world champion the week after you. And obviously Anto Cacace obviously fighting your former opponent in Leigh Wood.
yeah.
Um, what do you sort of make of both them matchups? Like I'm sort of the opinion that I think TJ could actually be the nemesis sort of for Nick Ball, and the fact that if Nick Ball comes forward too much, TJ could be there to hit him and hurt him badly.
It's just how I see it is TJ's a natural 1-2-2 fighter. When we fought, it was a 1-2-4, even though it was for a featherweight interim title. It was a 1-2-4. He is a 1-2-2 fighter. Nick's a big 1-2-6 fighter, strong. I think he could just be a bit too big, but TJ definitely has the ability to beat him. In terms of Kikachi and Wood, Kikachi momentum, Wood's inactivity. I only see it going one way. I see Kikachi winning. It could be points, but I see him winning quite comfortably. If I'm going to be honest, I think he's a better boxer of the two, tactically. Both can punch very hard, so it's an interesting fight. Who knows what can happen. How good is Kikachi's chin? He showed it's fantastic so far. No one's really hurt him. So how hard will Leigh be able to hurt him? I don't really know. Um, but I lean towards cacace in that one. And if you had a gun to my head, I would pick ball by late stoppage.
Yes, it depends on obviously how TJ is, obviously, because he hurt his back. It was more
Mm.
the side he was hit a shot
It's
in
just
that fight.
says. It's just the says. The says thing worries me because they're both small, obviously in stature, but Nick is very big at the weight and very strong at the weight, and you know, I think he just may have too much.
It's definitely
And
something, I
TJ is
guess.
obviously much older than me as well, so he's rolled back the years many a times, and former world champion and everything, and then even after I fought him, he went on and had a string of wins after that, and then fought a new. So he's a TJ's a really good fighter, um, and someone who could be his kryptonite. We'll see how he deals with a southpaw like TJ, and you know it's an interesting fight, but I just think his size is probably just too much for a real 122 fighter.
I guess it's one of them, another one of them. It's who turns up in the night. I don't think there's been a lot of talk sort of on obviously that card, and obviously TJ's got form previously, obviously going away as a away fighter and ripping up the script, and at some stages in that new fight he was sort of getting success, and he won a couple of rounds. You're sort of going, if that was Nick Ball, and you're sort of trying to piece it together. But I guess the only way we're going to know is by tuning in on the night and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
Will
not be
you?
there. I'll be in New York with Kevin at that stage.
Kevin's obviously fight it. It's a week after you as well.
Uh,
Will you? Obviously, I know Anto obviously helped you in camp preparing for your world title fight. Was it your world title fight?
for Wood,
That was for Wood at that time. So will you
for
return the
Wood.
favour and spar Anto in the lead up to the Wood fight?
If he needed me, but stays are different, aren't they? The Wood doesn't box like me. I think he would need more of a heavy-handed kind of come forward guy who's toughing and take a lot of shots. That's Lee Wood. He'll try and box and he'll switch stances the odd time, but Anto can switch just as good as, if not better than Lee. Um, I think if you watch Lee's fights against me and Warrington, he's quite limited in terms of his thing. He just has the equalizer.
Yeah, that's sort of you can bank the rounds and then sort of go for a walk, sort of and take the
Yeah.
rounds off instead of bother.
He's
Um,
tough and durable. That's one thing he is. He's tough and he's durable.
Obviously Riyadh card this weekend. Like, would you say a lot of people saying this is the best card we've ever seen? Probably the only downside sort of to it was Schofield sort of coming off the
Yeah.
Shakur Stevenson fight. Like, is this the best fight card we've seen in our lifetimes?
With that fight being off it, who knows? But I think that it could be up there with the best I've ever seen. Definitely, it depends on when you watch it. It could be terrible. Every fight could flop. Who knows? But you've got some unbelievable fights on it. Better be of Bivol, Joe Parker, Dubois, Adamas, Shiraz. Who else you got there? Colin Smith, Boatsy. It's a real interesting card and some interesting fights. And I was looking at odds and I was going, what Zhang's underdog, Smith's underdog, what's going on here? Like, if I was a biggie, I'd have them guys as favourites, but we'll see.
It's I guess in some ways it's I guess the money's obviously there. It's making these big cards, but like most of them fights, like even Ortiz Madrimov, like a lot of these fights could headline cards in their own areas, and it's in
Yeah,
some ways
Ortiz the favourite as well. I think Madrimov should be favourite in that one too. Um, it's a crazy card. And how even the betting is, they're not big favourites, they're slight favourites. So I'm going, okay, this is going to be interesting. People can't really pick.
it's in some ways these cards are great, but as we've seen, and obviously particularly with obviously UK shows, obviously it hasn't affected Irish shows as much, but you're seeing a lot less volume of cards and maybe five or six fights on a card. Like
Yeah,
in some ways, it's great for people want to tune in the TV, but for people want to see really good cards elsewhere, we're losing that sort of stacked sort of part to it.
100%. I think that Frank Warner's done a good job of keeping his shows aligned, but Matchroom, I don't think have done a good job. I think their focus is too spread in terms of their market, their home market, which they grew so big in. I think they've kind of let that down a bit. Um, and Frank has probably took over in all stages, in my opinion, at this stage. Now, I think that Frank is the number one out of all of them at the minute. He's doing great. Top Rank still doing their thing in America, which is always good to see. Yeah, so there's a good there's a good thing, but at the same time, I do think UK boxing has been affected by it.
It definitely has, and hopefully, fingers crossed, with everybody merged now in the zone, that things are going to get a lot better. Um,
Yeah.
what can people sort of expect, of yourself, Mick, in 2 weeks' time when you're back in the ring? Like, are we going to see like much changes? I know you said with Grant, there's not much physically
I
changing, but
haven't changed. I'll be back boxing, back to doing what I do best, my bread and butter, and not going in the wars and just using my skill set. That's it.
I think more than anything, the last year or so, it's sort of been the stage of people knowing you're coming back and it's coming back, and I guess you just can't wait to get it over and done with now and get back in the ring, get back to winning ways, and then people will nearly sort of go, "When are you back, Mick?" Mick, you've sort of got that bird stop chirping in your ear, going, "When are you
Yeah.
back? When are you back?" It's now it's happening.
Yeah, listen, for the last year, people have been going, "Oh, you're retired." And I'm like, no, no, I haven't made no decision yet. And then when I made the decision, like, no, I'll come back. Oh, okay. But I've been quite quiet in fairness in terms of coming back and stuff. I don't really care at the minute about, people coming this here and that there. I'm just looking forward to getting back in the ring and getting back in the swing of things for myself because it's been a long time and I just need to dust the cobwebs off and get back to business. And after this one, yeah, listen, who knows? I'll be main event in my next fight, most likely probably London, and then a big one in September again. So yeah, it's moving in the right direction. And obviously, can start to speak a bit more after this one. But at the minute, just because I'm coming back, I don't need to say nothing. I don't need to sell tickets. I don't need to have people like coming to me and going, "Oh, this year, not there." I'm just focused on getting back to myself.
Is it good for you in some ways where you don't have any of them other things? You just have to focus on yourself now rather than anything else, trying to promote a show. Is it a welcome relief for you in some ways that you don't have to do any of that?
100%, 100%. It's nice. I don't mind doing it, but it's nice to not do it. I suppose. Once in a while. So yeah, it's good. I don't have a lot of distractions outside of boxing now. Um, I've obviously got the two fighters I work with, and Dean Walsh and Kevin Cronin. Dean will fight next Saturday as well in Sheffield here, so I'll be there for that, and then I'll fight the week after, and then I'll be over in America for Kevin the week after that, and it's a nice little thing to break things up. You know what I mean? It means I'm not too caught up in everything. I've just got two people. I could have plenty of people ask me about management and stuff, but I'm just focusing on the two people I haven't given the full attention because sometimes you have people managers have too much fighters and the fighters don't get looked after the right way. So that's just the way boxing seems to be moving. You see some managers with 10, 20 fighters and like, what's the point? You don't have one or two fighters best interests at heart here because you're trying to do things for different guys, so it's hard.
Particularly when you're trying to have a life as well. Like obviously you've got kids and stuff as well. Like if you're out of camp and they're going, "Dad, are we doing this? Are we doing this?" And you're going, "I have to go and watch a fight, or I have to go to a press conference."
Yeah.
You need your own downtime out as well. That'll probably change for you when the time comes and you retire from boxing.
Yes.
You can then take on more fighters, but good to keep it small and keep it manageable until that time
So
comes.
that like the small boutique stain management, focus on one, two, three, maybe four max I would do at the minute. Um, but I'm in no rush, and I even though I have people on to me, coming to me, I'm in no rush to be picking up anybody else yet. Whoever I do pick up, I want it to be worthwhile. With Dean, obviously at the late turn pro and at the later stage of his career, but you watch his debut and you went, this kid has something here. And my words to Dean was when I started the work with him, says, Dean, if you give me 100%, I'll give you 100%. And the kid is living the life. He's training non-stop, no complaints out of him. The show in Dublin got pulled and he was straight back to training. What can you get me? So I got him on in Sheffield. And then Kevin, we're getting everything sorted obviously for the rematch. I'm excited for that one. I'll be back at my old hunting ground, back at the garden. And I believe he was done over last time, but the guy has so much will to be and drive to be putting the work in that I don't see anything but a Kevin win this time.
It's like I've sort of tried to give him his time this time because obviously I know that he's had a couple of these now. Obviously the Jimmy Morrissey one in Galway in particular. Now with the Emma Brennan one, it's probably making him hungrier, making him nastier. Like he said now that no more of his fights are going the distance. He's taking the judges out of it. So in some ways it could actually be a blessing in disguise. It could turn him into this different beast that just starts knocking everybody out.
It definitely, and like he could be, probably should be undefeated at this stage of his career, but he's had a few horrible decisions go against him or draws. You know what I mean? It's not nice, and I'm looking forward to seeing him out there because you know how he does things and how he puts the work in. It's always nice to see someone who is so dedicated like him. And he has has a job and everything as a fireman, but he puts that in hold when he goes into training camps and gives his life to the game. In fairness to him, so we gotta give him the utmost respect for doing what he's doing.
Definitely, I'm sure you'll be asking him for that fiver afterwards for giving him some nice praise. Look, Mick, obviously it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, obviously, and get a good chat. Obviously, we know you're 2 weeks out from fight night. We'll let you go and obviously enjoy your downtime again. And we'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time, live on Channel 5 on the Wasserman Eubank McKenna card.
Yeah, see you there, mate.
All right, Mick, cheers, take care.
Take care, mate. See you later.
Cheers, thanks. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.